Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and I've got this article pulled up from Axios, and it came out July 7th of 2025, and it says Democrats told to get shot for the anti-Trump resistance. It says at town halls in their districts and in one-on-one meetings with constituents and activists, Democratic members of Congress are facing a growing thrum of demands to break the rules, fight dirty, and not be afraid to get hurt. And so this Donald Trump is raising a lot of hell. He is the actions that he's taking to make America great again or make America white again are ruffling a lot of feathers, and people are actually coming against him. This is why it matters. House Democrats told Axios they see a growing anger among their base that has, in some cases, morphed into a disregard for American institutions, political traditions, and even the rule of law. So keep that in mind, morphed into a disregard for American institutions, political traditions, and even the rule of law. Because they're seeing that what they're told should work isn't actually working. Like all these protests, they're all going out and protesting, but that doesn't work. We're past that. What's really needed is a change of leadership, and that is coming through Yahweh Shai. Skipping down, it says, zoom out. For months, Democratic lawmakers have fumed that their basis demands to fight harder, misunderstand the lack of legislative and investigative power afforded to the minority party in Congress, because the Republicans currently have the power. It says, what we're hearing, the grassroots want more. Some of them have suggested what we really need to do is be willing to get shot when visiting ICE facilities or federal agencies, a third House Democrat told Axios. And then skipping down, it says, between the lines, while other Democratic lawmakers said their discussions haven't gone that far, nearly everyone who spoke to Axios cited examples of voters' panic and fury fueling demands to adopt brute force tactics. So they see that nonviolence is not working, and so they want to choose violence. This is what they're saying. Schneider, like other Democrats, said Trump impeachment efforts have proven extremely popular with grassroots voters, and that even as he has tried to shoot them down as impractical, some simply find the idea irresistible. Zoom in. Many lawmakers said these voters tend to be white, well-educated, and live in upscale, suburban, and urban neighborhoods. The bottom line, the expectations aren't just unreal, they're dangerous, the 8th House Democrat said. And so, these Democrats want to get violent, and that's what happens when you have a society that you divide. Because these Edomites, the Edomites being the so-called white man, including the small hatters, they rule through divide and conquer. And so you have all this division within this society in which there's going to have to come a point where they go head to head because the differences are so severe. And that's how they rule. They had two heads, two horns as a lamb, but spoke as a dragon through the two-party system, which comes from Rome. You had the plebes and patricians back in Rome, and now you have the Democrats and Republicans here in the revisal of Rome. But I want to go over to this article, which this is from the ice.gov site, and I saw this on Elder Malcolm's page He just had a post showing that 10 suspects were taken into custody and that this hasn't been on the news. And it hasn't. I hadn't seen anything about this. This happened back on July 4th. And people are starting to uprise. And this place goes out violently, so it's something we should expect. And it says 10 and this came out July 8th, and it's on ice.gov. It says 10 suspects charged in July 4th attack on Texas ICE detention facility. Nearly a dozen violent assailants equipped with tactical gear and weapons attacked U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Prairie Land Detention Facility in Alvarado, Texas on July 4th, shooting a local law enforcement officer in the process. The officer is expected to recover. But here's what it says. This escalation in violence is incomprehensible, and those responsible will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law, says Acting ICE Director Todd M. Lyons. This is precisely what we have been warning against. As disinformation and dangerous politically motivated rhetoric spreads, we are thankful to Alvarado Police Department responding officers and that the officer injured has been discharged from the hospital. We will continue to work with the FBI and Texas Rangers as they investigate and prosecute those involved. This is the attack, which occurred just days before an armed activist shot at U.S. Border Patrol official, shot a U.S. Border Patrol official in McAllen, Texas, was coordinated to vandalize the facility and disrupt operations there. The FBI have arrested 10 of the 11 suspects, and the Johnson County Sheriff has confirmed that each now face local charges of terrorism, aggravated assault on public servant with a deadly weapon, or aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against a peace officer. The final suspect is still at large. I am relieved to hear that the officer who was shot is expected to recover from the injuries sustained, said Acting ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Dallas Field Office Director Josh Johnson during a July 7 press conference. Fortunately, no employees at our facilities were harmed during the shooting incident on July 4th. ICE officials currently face a 700% increase in assaults as activists masquerading as immigrant advocates continue to impede operations. On July 2nd, a man repeatedly rammed an ICE vehicle with his car in Linda Vista, California, before 3 activists attacked agents. So you're seeing this is picking up because these are multiple incidents. One with an officer being shot in McAllen, Texas. I think that's because the 10 with the 10 suspects, that's in Alvarado, Texas, but there's another in McAllen, Texas, and then something in California. So this is picking up, and it's not being mentioned on the news. But getting on, the Department of Homeland Security is vowed to pursue criminal charges for anyone obstructing ICE operations or assaulting federal law enforcement officers. And so this division is increasing, and people are about to start going against their kings and princes, like we just talked about here and back in the Axios article. Where did it say that? Yeah, right here. Why it matters. House Democrats told Axios they see a growing anger among their base that has, in some cases, morphed into a disregard for American institutions, political traditions, and even the rule of law. And so, we go here to 2nd Esdras 15, and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And so destruction to the world and to everybody that dwells here. That's what's coming. Destruction. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. The modern day swords, the gun, and really any weapon. And it says, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. Because this division has come to a boiling point. We're going to see left versus right. We're going to see different socioeconomic groups going at each other. We're going to see race wars and ultimately World War III. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men," which, let's just get that word sedition from the etymon, which is rebellion, uprising, revolt, factitious commotion in the state, concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority, violent strife between factions, civil or religious disorder, riot, rebelliousness against authority. So going back to Axios, why it matters. House Democrats told Axios they see a growing anger among their base that has in some cases morphed into a disregard for American institutions, political traditions, and even the rule of law. So sedition is growing. Sedition is growing. For there shall be sedition among men. So rebelliousness and factitious commotion and evading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. Their kings and princes are these senators, these city councilmen, the president, these judges, and their actions are carried through the law enforcement. These people are not going to regard that. They're rebelling against the government. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So all this sedition is going to bring martial law. It's going to bring a police state in which that big, beautiful bill that Trump just provided is actually bringing that police state. So they already expect this to come because it gave a ton of funding to ICE and to law enforcement. This is going to, all the sedition that is coming is going to result in martial law or a police state, to where you just can't just go from city to city. It's going to be locked down. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread, and for great tribulation. So there's famine coming, there's sedition, and different wars that are coming. There's martial law that is coming through all of this. And then I'm going to jump up to verse 10 because it's going to lead us into Isaiah 19. So 2nd Esdras 15 and verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Egypt here is America, because of the captivity in which the Israelites served here, and because Egypt scripturally is also linked with the Edomites, because it's not talking about ancient Egypt or the land of Egypt. It's spiritual Egypt, in which the Edomites rule it. Revelation 11 speaks of how it's spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. This is speaking of America, and that's where the Israelites currently are, the bulk of the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and that's where the great deliverance is going to come. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So showing that it's not ancient Egypt. This is a spiritual Egypt, a new Egypt, and will destroy all the land thereof, because America is going to get nuked and nobody's ever going to dwell here ever again. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. So get ready for the plagues to come back and better than ever. This is book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. These are Americans. He's setting the Americans against the Americans. And they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor. So, civil war. City against city and kingdom against kingdom. So, all this division that the elite have set here within this land and throughout everywhere that they place their thumb, where they touch down at, they push division. But this division is going to come to a head. And you're seeing that with these people attacking these different ICE officers. And that's just the beginning of it. It's going to exacerbate. It's going to grow. It said kingdom against kingdom. Slovakia. 12 and 25. It just said kingdom against kingdom, and we see it again here. Matthew 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And so there will be brother against brother, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. We will see this in Esau's kingdom because he's ruled via division. Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And we see huge division between the left and the right. And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. The house of Esau is divided against itself. You have these liberals, you have these Republicans, you have the good old boys versus these soy boys. You have massive division. You have the small hatters versus the regular Edomites. You have it in many different ways, and it's eventually going to get to fighting. But this whole house of Esau is divided, and it's being brought down. And if Satan cast out Satan, in which the Edomites are Satan's people, so-called white people and these small hatters are Satan's people. Satan means adversary, and these people are referred to as the devil, which goes into deceiver. And that's what their whole kingdom is built up on, lies and deception. They've lied about history, they've lied about science, they've lied about who's who and what's what in lands. They lie about art and have done their iconoclasm or their whitewashing to where people really believe that this has been them throughout history in rulership positions, but it has not been. They came up during the Renaissance, after they went down during the Dark Ages. And before that, they came up during the Greeks. And so they had the Greco-Roman Empire. But besides that, Esau hasn't been a major player throughout history. They've just set themselves up to look like that. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? And it won't stand. We're watching the end of Esau's kingdom, of Satan's kingdom. And I'm planning on going here, but we'll go back to 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. It says, for Esau is the end of the world. Salakia. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Esau's world is divided, it's crumbling, the infrastructure is collapsing, their economy is collapsing, these people's minds are collapsing, and the camaraderie that was there is collapsing. The hearts of many shall grow cold. We're watching the end of the Edomites have any power within this world, and after that, Jacob's world begins. So, get ready for Yahushua to come back, because he's going to bring their kingdom completely down. But yeah, Lord willing, that was edifying. Keep an eye out. Stay circumspect because sedition is coming. We're seeing it already. And these are good signs because it's showing Esau's kingdom going out the door. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.